Hey y'all, it's me, CheesyPaninie. Anyways, it's been such a long time since I made a video. So, how are you guys doing? I've been pretty busy with my part-time job and my commissions, and I thought about starting a new series. I've been doing some pixel art commissions, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about my thoughts and process of how I make them. Not because I'm an expert on it, but because I am trying to better myself when it comes to pixel art. They say the best way to learn something is by teaching. This is because it helps you to fully understand the process and the mindset that goes into doing it. So to start off, today's client is Japs, and they wanted a pixel art portrait of Marion von Edmund from Fire Emblem in a gothic outfit in my cheesy style. I started it off by sketching the portrait in pencil. The sketch took about 23 minutes, and after my client gave me the go signal, I took a picture of it on my phone and placed it in Aseprite. For those of you who are wondering why the resolution of the screen is kind of weird, it's because I'm drawing on my Surface Pro and this was the default resolution. I don't want to record in a different one because it might not capture the whole screen. I just kind of cropped it and added a background. That's why it looks that way now. I had to shrink the sketch to fit 64 by 64 portrait size. Why that size in particular? That's because it's the same size as the portraits in Stardew Valley, and I decided it was the best default size for making portrait commissions. And yes, the sketch is super deformed, but that's okay. I just needed a rough guide of where the curves are formed because it's a little tricky sometimes with pixel art. I always start with making the base shapes of the pixels instead of drawing with lines because it's a lot easier to form the shapes I want this way, and I just can't seem to get it right with just lines. Normally, I would complete the flat colors first before putting in detail, but I was worried about whether or not the eyes were the right size or big enough. One really good tip I learned from other pixel artists was to start with the smallest important detail of your picture before you do the other details of the larger parts, because if you start with the largest parts first then work on the smaller bits, you're gonna have a hard time because that detail might get lost if you ended up making your art too small to include it. Now, you might be wondering why I keep zooming in and out, and I know it looks kind of annoying in the video, but it's actually a really good way of checking if the shape of your drawing is the way you want it to look. And this doesn't just apply to pixel art. This can also apply to other types of art. You know what they say, sometimes we're too close to the problem to see it, and we have to take a step back to get a clearer picture. And yes, I realize how cheesy that sounded. Why'd you think I call myself CheesyPaninie? Anyways, once I'm done with the shapes, I start placing the lines and details and adjusting them a little when needed. Now, there are times when I wanted certain lines to curve, but it ends up looking kind of jagged, so I place some blue pixels by the edges of the dark lines to make the lines feel softer and more curved when you look at it from afar. This technique is called anti-aliasing. The way I draw cheesy style portraits are with dark outlines and a limited amount of shading. For the hair, I draw some details with the dark outline, then put a little bit of shading to suggest the shape or texture of the hair without drawing all of the lines. Back then, I used to illustrate every strand, and while there is no right or wrong way to draw hair, I've started to really like this way of shading. It also takes a lot of pressure off of my hand and makes the drawing feel softer to look at, in my opinion. And this is where my Surface Pro's charger died. After more than a year of being stepped on, rolled on, bent, and so on, my charger stopped working and I had to order a new one. And unfortunately for me, it was gonna take 2 weeks before I get it, so I plugged in my old pen tablet and continued working on my computer. But truth be told, I only used it for doing some curved lines and ended up using my mouse for the most part because it's easier to zoom in and out, and feels more accurate. I was never completely comfortable with using a pen tablet, to be honest. I can draw with it, but I didn't like it as much as drawing on a display tablet directly. I just kept it around for emergencies, such as this. Also, if you look at my initial sketch, I didn't really put a whole lot of detail into clothes because I knew that once I shrunk it and started doing it in pixel art, it might not look as good, and I might end up thinking of a better design when I do the pixels than when I sketch them. Since my client didn't have a specific idea to the character's goth look, I didn't need to put specific details on the sketch. So this part of the time-lapse is actually me just experimenting on which design looked the best in pixels. I wouldn't have thought of this kind of design for the middle emblem of her outfit if I just sketched it right away instead, because I wouldn't know how it would look in pixels. And there you have it, Marianne Von Edmund in a gothic dress. It took me about 3 hours and 3 minutes of work, which I did over the course of a day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, comment what you think, and subscribe for more. That in itself would help the channel greatly and would make it more visible to others. However, if you would like to take a step further to support me, I have a Redbubble shop that has a plethora of items, though I've only made one collection so far. You can also support me on Patreon, where I sometimes post my plants and Terraria wallpapers. On the other hand, if you want something drawn in pixel art, come take a look at my website for my commission sheets. My commissions aren't always open, so be sure to check my Twitter for announcements for when I open them. Anyways, that's it for now. I'm just gonna go do my thing and you guys do your thing, and I'll see you guys later. Take it easy, stay cheesy.